Hey friends, Russ here having more Daisy lever gun fun. And as promised, we're going to take a little more in-depth look at this Marlin made by Umarex currently these days and compare it to things we know about the Red Rider because they seem to have so many similarities. So let's start with the fact that when you're taking it apart, this is a typical screw out of a modern Red Rider, or a bolt rather, and this is one of the typical ones from the Marlin. They are the same length, and I checked the threads. They're both 1032 threads. These bolts are so much alike, right down to the knurlings underneath the head, which of course we know currently takes the place of the star washer that they used to put under the head of the bolts on the Red Rider. There is a similarity also in the caulking levers. Now, they're both about the same thickness. Okay, here's a typical caulking lever from a Red Rider. And this is the one I pulled out of the Marlin. Now, if you'll notice, these notches up here take the place of the anti-bear trap mechanism that you'll find on the Red Rider. And I'll show you the difference in the trigger because of it. But if you look at these and you lay them one on top of the other using the catch here from the receiver, and you line the holes up and the catch, they're almost the same. Look at them this way, almost the same, even to the nose on the front here, which pulls the piston back. And we know that the piston is a similar setup because it has the spring stop in here. I didn't pull the piston out of it, but I'm pretty sure they're about the same because if I can get a good look down in here, try to turn my light on. See if you can see this. Oh no. Here, I'll back it up a little bit. And put the light down in there. Can you make that out? The back end of the plunger assembly is the same as the back end of the plunger assembly on the Red Riders. And of course on the other small frame daisies like the 105 and the 199s, etc. But to be able to tell if it actually would work the same way, I'm going to do something strange. I'm going to take the lever. I'm going to take the lever pivot bolt, drop it in here. This is a Red Rider lever, which I'm putting into the Marlin just for the sake of fun and giggles. And whenever you pull it back, you should be able to feel the tension on that spring. And sure enough, it's pulling that all the way back. Amazing, huh? It's almost as if one was a copy of the other with just a few little refinements. Okay. Now, how does this work differently than what we're used to? Well, if you're looking at the trigger assemblies, this is a trigger assembly from a Red Rider, which I have taken off the anti-bear trap. This is the trigger assembly out of the Marlin. They look real similar. In fact, the trigger lever down here looks real similar. They both have the back spring. They both have the same cross bolt safety in the same configuration. And if you put one on top of the other and line the holes up, they are the same height and the same width. The difference is these teeth have to have something to catch on, and whenever the piston assembly is drawn back, you have to have something to push on this little devil right here. This is an integral part of the safety mechanism for the Marlin. which is slightly different from what we find in the Red Riders. And the reason it's different, one of the reasons, is because if you look up here at the receiver, this is the bolt hole that holds the trigger in place. This one is this little skinny pal right here. Okay? And it goes onto a nut on the back. Now, the nuts are the same size, exactly the same size as the ones for the Daisy guns, even to the point where you can use the same wrench. But this nut happens to be fastened to here. It'll spin because I think it's flanged out on the inside, but it doesn't pop off. And that goes through this trigger, holds this in place. Now, if you look at the top of these, the sear, which is this lever up here, the sear is the same on both guns inside of the trigger assembly. Okay? So there's another similarity. If we look at a Red Rider frame, you're going to see this little catch across here, and it's in the same place. The notch out to be able to let the safety drop down through is the same. It also has the double thickness up here that supports the lever. That's the same. And I decided to check something else. I wanted to know if the diameter on this is the same all the way through. Now, this is the Marlin, and it goes all the way down with the same diameter all the way through. If this were on the Red Rider, it would have a step down here, and it would be thinner across the front. There is a screw holding the forearm on, but there's also a screw here, this little screw, which holds the band, the forearm band on. Now, on the Red Rider, you don't have that. What this is, it's kind of beat up, but this is a current Red Rider type band. You could tell it's thinner than the old original bands were back in the day, and it would slide on and just have a friction fit holding it onto the forearm. What Marlin has done, they've copied the same profile almost exactly, not quite, almost exactly, and they've used that wider profile, which is similar to what we find in the older Red Riders. You see how much wider that is than the current bands here? And I think I could probably get that on there if I decided to stretch this down a little bit. So it's just a little bit different. So I thought, if this is the same, the arc in this band should match the arc in these bands. And sure enough, if you put them on here, you look at that arc, it's exactly the same. Right down to where the shoulders come up and intersect the forearm band. So it's my belief, without pulling that piston out, I could, but without doing that, I wanted to keep it original until we do some testing on it, that the piston on the inside, even the air tube, should be approximately the same as what you're going to find on the current Daisy guns. As I stated in the prior video we did on this, this gate looks almost identical to what you're going to find on the Daisy. And I'm not crazy about the muzzle cap. I like the ones on the Daisies because they're more sleek looking. It sits inside and so forth. But this being a wider diameter all the way to the front, they used a muzzle cap on here and supported the shot tube inside of that. There's a little retainer here you push in and you're able to pull that off. Okay, friends, this is the latest comparison we have. You know what, just for fun, let's take this out I want to see what's under the forearm. Well, this looks almost exactly the same as what you're going to find on a Red Rider. Look at that. In fact, just for fun, I have an old Red Rider forearm, and if I kind of line those holes up a little bit and move this back to where it should go, I'll bet it'll almost fit on there. Look at there. Give me that band. I'll be a son of a gun. Yep, there are so many similarities in here. I can't help but think that the manufacturer of these actually uses some copies of each other on the parts. One of the things you will notice, and I'm going to mention before we close this off, is even though this has a similar type lever, because the arc in the Marlin is sharper coming back here on the wrist, you cannot put this lever on that gun. You can put this probably on a Red Rider. It won't work the same way because of the notches and so forth. You'd have to do some modification. But this does not fit the arc on that stock. I do like the stock. Nothing bad about the stock. Okay, folks. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. At some point in time, I'm going to try to get a chronograph reading on the Marlin, because we know just about what to expect from the Red Riders and the bucks, the 199s. Whenever you're firing them off, they're always under the 300 mark. So I'm going to see what this one does. In the meantime, y'all stay safe, and we'll be talking to you soon.